record.
Ben, stop headbanging. We have a show to do.
I love it. Love that song, man. You know? Okay, we heard what you want to do. Now we're going to tell you what you're going to do. Whoa, man.
Michael Girardi, that's like your single. That's like your top charting single there. All right, that's a hot song there. Michael Girardi, go check out Mike Girardi Bandcamp, Gerardi. You can download all of his songs. I'm looking at 8 songs here on Bandcamp. All right, and his latest, World's Greatest Newspaper, an acoustic cut.
Yeah, Ray Davies. He's channeling his inner Ray Davies. I know nobody knows who that is. Kinks, look it up. Ray Davies. Ray Davies, very cool guy. Okay, just saying.
All right, our good friend Frank has a song of the day request, and you will know it, so that's good. We're off to a good start here.
Well, we'll see if I know it.
Your Ben Joravsky show for Wednesday, August 12th is just moments away. But before we do this, let's thank the following unions for sponsoring this podcast. Unions like the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150 are sponsors, as well as our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. How are we feeling today, by the way, Ben?
Feeling pretty good. Got up really early today.
Hey, you had a dentist appointment, right?
Well, I just had to do some things, some errands. I was dentist time, man. I'm up. It was like 7 o'clock. You know, all I saw were people chopping wood. And
we know what that means on the Ben Joravsky show. So,
so yeah, I've been up. Now I know what the rest of you are like. And I'm like, I'm going back to my rock star hours, like Ray Davies, okay? Sleep till noon, roll out of bed.
So, live streamers, you got a little bit of we broke the fourth wall for you a little bit. If we're going through the show and you hear a...
Actually, I think there is one. God, yeah. Planned. All right.
All right. Let's do the song of the day here. Your song of the day comes from Frank. It's from an awesome artist here. 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
Oh, working 9 to 5. Hey, what a way to make. I love Dolly Parton. Great movie, by the way. Woo, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. Wednesday, August 12th, and live from my apartment in Ben's attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, we're talking what else? Kamala Harris with political strategist DelMarie Cobb and legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist, Ben Joravsky.
Yeah, hello everybody, Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Kamala Kool-Aid Wednesday, and here's why. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I'm drinking that Kamala Kool-Aid. That's why. Ever since Joey B selected Kamala as his VP. How about that, D? It rhymes. Joey B selected Kamala as his VP.
Well, your rap career can finally begin.
Frank had me sing 9 to 5, but I was ready to sing Promises. I've been singing Promises, Promises, an ancient Broadway song that nobody knows. Ever since I heard Kamala was selected, only I've been singing, instead of Promises, Promises, I've been singing Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. I don't think anybody in America is as excited by this pick as me. In fact, I can tell you right now, nobody in America is as excited as me. Hold on, I need to take some more of the Kool-Aid, D. There's a lot of negativity out there about Kamala Harris. I'm going to have some of this Kool-Aid. It's so good. Hold on one second.
Yeah, there you go. Live streamers and people who've listened to the show for a while. The bit is back. The Kool-Aid bit.
The Kamala Kool-Aid. Got to drink that Kamala Kool-Aid. Now, as everybody knows, this is not my first drink from this well. Oh, no. As you recall, I was soaking up the Kool-Aid by the bucketful last summer during debates. Dennis, could you do me a favor? Play Ben. Sorry, Mr. Mike. Dennis, play Ben talks about Kamala from last summer, okay? D, I just got to tell you, I love Kamala. Actually, that wasn't the tape. That is because I'm too busy to call up these tapes. Huh? Just do them yourself. But I was saying that. It might as well have been the tape, because if you were listening, I was like singing her praises. Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. Yeah, I was excited. You know why? I was excited because she went so strong at Joe Biden. I think it was the first debate or the second debate. I can't remember anymore. God damn, man. That was like a year ago, right? It was a COVID ago. But it was one of those first two debates. She went at him strong. I came back. D, I was all excited the next day. I'm like, gee, this Kamala Harris, she can go strong at Trump. She's going to come hard at Trump. You see what she did to Joey B last night? And Dennis is like, yeah. It's funny. I'm like the old guy and he's the young guy, but I'm still like the young guy. I get all excited about these candidates. And D's like, I've been there, seen that, done it all. Yeah, man. Anyway.
And I'm for the really old guy, Bernie.
Yeah, you love Bernie. I love Bernie too. Okay, let the record stand.
Oh, where's that Bernie Kool-Aid there? And nowhere to be found.
Bernie, $27. Anyway, my Bernie imitation's not as good as Dennis's. That's true. But anyway, my enthusiasm for Kamala was not matched, to put it mildly, by my guests. Either the guests of the leftist persuasions, of which there are many on my show, or the centrist persuasions. The lefties called her a cop. Remember that, D? They recalled her moment in the debate. I think it was the third debate, the one after the debate where she went after Biden. Maybe it was the second. Who knows? Stop asking me which debate it was. When Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard went at Kamala hard with that question about her prosecuting reefer users back in California when she was the district attorney. And Kamala's response to that head-on punch from Tulsi Gabbard was a little weak. Dennis, could you could you play Kamala's response? How about that? That once again, is not Kamala's response. We didn't have time to go dig up Kamala's response. We think this is the Joe Rogan show? We got time to do that kind of stuff? Huh? Just take my word for it. Her basic response was, I don't know what to say.
Oh, well, you got me there.
Yeah, it's true. I want reefer legalized, but when I had a chance to do something about our throwing people in jail, could you ask me another question? All right, look, nobody's perfect, okay? No one's perfect. Even I'm not perfect. All right, lefties, go easy on Kamala. Anyway, the centrists didn't like her that much either, much to my surprise. And that was because she was not Joe Biden. As everybody knows, my centrist guests love Joe Biden. Never quite understood what they saw in Joe Biden, but they saw a lot. And I think I kind of understand it. They sort of viewed Joe Biden as a calm, reason, avuncular figure that middle America swing voters wanted to turn to as an alternative to Trump. And they found it reassuring when Joe Biden went on one of his little Biden talks. Dennis.
You're kidding.
Play Biden being reassuring. Oh, play the record. Play the record. Listen to words. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was me. Actually, Dennis, you could have played that one. I think that's always close. I didn't want you to work too hard, D. Dennis got up early today, too. He didn't want to work harder. Neither did I. Anyway. Apparently, Joe Biden and his aides, his presidential advisors, look at it this way. If lefties don't love Kamala and centrists don't love Kamala, she's perfect.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone, make sure the kids hear words.
Who said that?
Yeah, make sure they hear words, D, okay? All right. Meanwhile, I think my favorite part of the whole Kamala Harris bit in the last 24 hours is MAGA doesn't know what to do. MAGA, of course, is what Donald Trump calls his empire of followers who will follow whatever command he says. If he says, go off that cliff, they will go off that cliff. If he says, eat that dog food, they will eat that dog food. If he says, say that dog food is steak, they'll go, it's steak tartare. Anyway, that's how MAGA responds to Donald Trump. So on one hand, MAGA they get their talking points from Donald Trump and the White House. On one hand, they're bashing Kamala as a radical leftist and saying that she's just going to lead this country to ruin with her Marxist-like ideology. On the other hand, they're bashing her as a Wall Street sellout. Yeah. They're trying to say that she's somehow or other more conservative than they are when it comes to Wall Street. Not quite sure how this is going to work. Then this is something you need to know, folks, when you consider Trump's reaction to absolutely anything. The Trump re-election plan is contingent on two factors. Number one, strong turnout from the MAGA-loving base, hence the need to depict Kamala as a radical lefty. Number two, weak turnout from lefties, hence the need to portray her as a Wall Street sellout. Look, Trump does not care if he's saying two completely contradictory things at once. MAGA is really unanchored when it comes to core principles. They'll do anything Donald Trump tells them. Thus, on the local level, they're like Joe Friday when it comes to Michael Madigan and his alleged corruption. It's like, he's a crook, he's a boss, he's a hack, throw him in jail. But when it comes to Trump's lawlessness, they're sort of like Sergeant Schultz. I see nothing. I see nothing. At this point, I want to apologize for those baby boomer references. I couldn't help myself, okay?
You're a baby boomer.
I'm a baby boomer. I've really been confronting that fact more and more. Anyway.
Oh, and according to the live stream chat, I'm a wannabe Gen Xer. So,
how did that happen? Hold on.
With baby boomer underties. So,
okay. By the way, wait, hold on. Just another little sip of that Kamala Kool-Aid. I'm really fired up. Kamala, 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 Kamala. We got a great show today, everybody. Yes, indeed. DelMarie Cobb, she's fired up. I did the pre-show talk with her. I was like, DelMarie, save it for the show. Save it for the show. She's got a lot to say about Kamala and Trump and Biden, local politics as well. Dee, we're probably going to play her some of that Lori Lightfoot stuff you got there. Monroe Anderson, the legendary Monroe Anderson, he's all fired up. I think he's about as excited as I am. Yeah, I think he has a Kamala T-shirt, and he's going to be wearing it today, and he'll be talking about Democratic politics. And then we're going to do a 4 o'clock drop. We're not going to keep the tape in the bank for when we're gone. We're going to have David Seaton. Oh, my God. David Seaton loves Kamala Harris.
Well, it'll be a 7 o'clock drop. It'll be available tonight at 7 p.m.
I sit corrected.
Both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download.
By the way, I have a question for you.
What?
And I didn't mean to cut you off. Say that again. It's very important. Just say what you just said.
And wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Yeah, Ben, what's up?
Okay. So I noticed something before I came on the air. I was like checking out Twitter. Okay. See what was trending on Twitter. And trending on Twitter is that Tucker Carlson mispronounces Kamala Harris's name. The question for you, young Dennis, is Tucker Carlson mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name because he, like me, stumbles on names? Or is he mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name because he wants to insult her and intentionally mispronounce her name? The question is to you.
B.
Okay.
It's like when he calls Don Lemon Don Lemon.
He's a clever guy. Number one guy in the number one watch TV show in the country, ladies and gentlemen. I just read an article about billions are flocking to Fox. Why can't we get billions to listen to our show, D, huh? You got to do more Twitter. That's the key. You got to do more Twitter. Anyway, That'll do it. And you watch people in Georgia, they listen to our show like crazy. Just like they listen to Tucker Carlson. All right, Don Lemon. I did not know he called him Don Lemon. That's actually kind of funny in a really obnoxious way. DelMarie Cobb, Monroe Anderson, David Seaton. Lots of political talk ahead. Before we do that, the young man from Alton with the news.
Hey there. I'm Dennis. It's true. Joe Biden has selected Senator Kamala Harris as his vice presidential candidate. Yeah, the lady who trashed him on national television right to his face a little over a year ago.
Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision. So
that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act.
Please contain your excitement, moderate liberals. Please.
Yeah, no, that's when I heard. Oh yeah, that's good playing, D. By the way, that's counterpunch. I'm looking to see that counterpunch against Mike Pence when they have the vice presidential debates, if we ever have any debates of any kind. Yeah, I want to see that, Kamala.
And
of course,
no
one else was excited about it because within a week, Tulsi Gabbard hit her with a left upper hook. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, not a lot of people are excited, especially on the live stream chat at the moment. Our good friend Brianna weighed in. She said, I think Ben's the only person I've seen so far who's fired up about Kamala. Most people are responding with, yawn.
I have to say, I think you're right. I texted this out, Brianna, to so many different people last night. It's Kamala. Yeah, not a lot of, I think a lot of people are preoccupied. A lot of people figured it was going to happen anyway. So, she did not do that well herself. Apparently, I was the only one who was ever drinking from the Kamala Kool-Aid. And that was pretty much clear. I can't recall any guest coming into the studio last summer who was fired up for Kamala. Do you? I don't think so. No. So, Brianna, you're right. I'm the only one. I'm yeah! Come on, Dems!
Yeah, I took just a little sip of the Kool-Aid last summer just to see what Ben was ranting and raving about. Very bland, this Kool-Aid.
Yeah. No, but then I gotta tell you, the Tulsi Gabbard counterpunch. Within a week, I was like, Kamala. She still was like always around the 4th or 5th pick. Remember, I was ranking them in those days, D.
It's like that Kool-Aid you taste with too much water, very watered down. But ever since this news broke right after our program ended, couldn't have announced it when we were doing the show, huh? Come on. But ever since the news broke, everyone has been wondering what our host, Ben Joravsky, has to say about it. In fact, last night, we received a voicemail regarding the news. Shout out to our good friend on the live stream chat, one Dragon Slayer 19. Dragon Slayer 19 was kind enough to take a gigantic technological step backwards and called the show on the phone. Yes. Let's hear what Dragon Slayer 19 has to say. By the way, if you're listening to this, you can do the same. Leave the Ben Joravsky Show a voicemail, won't you? 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. And you know, if it isn't insane, we'll more than likely play it. All right, here's Dragon Slayer 19 with his thoughts on Biden's VP pick, one Kamala Harris. Hit play. That may help. Here we go. Oh. Okay, he called me Dr. Doobie. Hold on, I got to get the settings on my phone here right.
Come on, he's not Dr. Doobie.
Yeah, come on, man. What are you doing to me here? All right, so let me get it fired up again. For some reason, it didn't work. Hang tight. We'll definitely be editing this out of today's program.
No. Poor podcast.
Hi, Ben and Dr. Doobie, White Lightning. This is Dragon Slayer 19 calling in from the Chicagoland area. I just wanted to comment on what I'm sure is the biggest news story of today, which is Kamala Harris being picked as VP. Now, I know that Ben is ecstatic and that today we'll probably have the big reveal that the reason why we haven't been able to see him is that this whole time he's been stocking up his Kamala Kool-Aid, and we can finally see it on that brand new video camera. But for the rest of us, I want to just offer us a little bit of glimmer of hope. And that if Biden and Harris win, we can finally replace Harris with a senator from California who doesn't believe in locking up parents for their kids' truancy, but does believe in prosecuting Steve Mnuchin. So I'm happy to say that we might have the chance of having like Karen Bass, Barbara Lee, Ro Khanna, even Katie Porter as a new senator from California. Though I know Ben will wish that his second favorite congressman, the congressperson from the state of California, gets elevated after Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff. So I hope that doesn't happen, but you never know. Anyways, thanks for the show, and good luck to everyone.
Oh, thank you, Dragon Slayer.
That was a low
So there you go.
blow.
That's a nice spin on it. What do you think? So with Kamala out as senator in California, we'll have a new California senator. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great. I got to give Dragon Slayer credit. Even I, the visionary, did not think that far ahead. See, there's those people who played chess, me, and excuse me, I got it wrong. Those people who played chess, Dragon Slayer, and those people who played checkers, me. And he's thinking 3 steps ahead. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. It would be Gavin Newsom's pick. I presume Dragon Slayer. Would he take Karen Bass? Would he take Ro Khanna? Wow. Or would he? He's definitely not taking Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is holding the Democrats together for better or for worse. Many of my listeners, I see you, Babs, think for the worse. I think for the better. She's holding the Democrats together in the Congress. So he's definitely not going to take her. But Karen Bass, maybe. Could be Karen Bass. That would make sense. So, yeah, there's the bright side of it. The reality is this is a very mainstream pick, and that's the theme that Joe Biden is trying to articulate. He's trying to tell swing voter America that he is a reassuring, avuncular figure who can replace Trump, bring the country together, lower the volume. That's what the Biden campaign is all about. It's not about proclaiming great new progressive ideas. They're not even that new, actually. Healthcare for all has been around since the 40s, like Bernie Sanders is, for instance. But he's just trying to project that calm. And I think Kamala Harris fits in well with that overall strategy. She's not going to scare anybody. And by the way, all the things that people on my show criticize her for, her hard on crime past when she was a prosecutor back in California, that may play well in the electorate. We're going to hear a lot of that, I know, from David Seaton and Monroe Anderson. But that's the reality. That may play well in this age where we just yesterday we were talking about the looting that went on in Chicago on Monday morning. So I got to think, even if it doesn't fire up the lefty, all the people in lefty land, it was a shrewd move.
But hey, call us up, leave us a voicemail, just like Dragon Slayer 19, 708-658-4788. And hey,
Wait, hold on.
What?
Can I just say one thing?
Are you drinking Kool-Aid again?
No, wait, hold on.
Oh, God.
Hold on.
Shouldn't even brought it up.
So delicious. Dragon Slayer, I got a cup here for you. You'll have it. And next thing you know, I'll be going, oh my God, I love her. Since you played Dragon Slayer's comments, I just had to read this letter that I got. It was pretty funny, D. I told you I was going to read this. Let's hope I can find it, damn. Here it is. So anyway, as people know, last week I wrote a column in the Reader blasting Bill Clinton. Said I was sick and tired of him, didn't want to see him anymore. And no sooner did I write that column than the Democrats, Joe Biden, etc., publicized that they announced that Bill Clinton will be given a speaking role at the Democratic convention. So I said, Dems, cut the cord. Do not allow Bill Clinton to be affiliated with your brand anymore. And what do? They go, they invite him as a speaker. So I wrote this up for the Reader in the Reader newsletter yesterday, and it was sent out. And I got the following letter from a woman I'll call Debbie, because I guess that's her name.
Hey, Debbie.
Debbie was not really pleased with what I wrote, D. I think she's a Bill Clinton fan. She wrote, I thought the original piece you wrote was thought-provoking. In the end, I was still up in the air, but you had made me reconsider this thought or that. Now this email, and all I am thinking is, what a whiny little beep.
Debbie, man, pulling no punches.
She just brings that tough game. It's about you, I guess. My mistake. Debbie, first time, last time reader. Debbie didn't like the story. So, Debbie, let me just make a plea to you. Come on. Why don't you give me as many chances as you give Bill Clinton? All right? Bill Clinton had he took the country down in the 90s with his philandering, led to the impeachment. We all rallied around him. And what's the first thing he does? Hops on that airplane with Jeffrey Epstein to fly around the world. So I'm just saying, you gave him another chance. Give me another chance. I think that was whining, D. I'm going to say without whining.
And hey, Debbie, there's other good things on the Reader, all right? I was going to say concert listings, but those aren't going on. Just a lot of good stuff on the Reader. Don't completely abandon the Reader, because old hippie Joravsky.
Yeah, it's too hard on Clinton.
All right. Anyway, it's ChicagoReader.com. Go check it out and subscribe to the Chicago Reader. They have a great coloring book out. Okay, let's find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon. First up, it's the Illinois governor.
Illinois is a state with a grand history of profound impact on our nation and our world. We've sent 4 transformative presidents to the White House. We were the first state to ratify 2 of the most important...
All right, actually, JB, I'm going to have to cut you off there, bud. You're getting a little long-winded. Our time is limited today. We have DelMarie Cobb coming on at 1:30, and we played Dragon Slayer's voicemail. Maybe we'll hear from you a little later on all the bragging about Illinois. Actually, who am I kidding? We won't, because today Governor Pritzker is giving his Illinois COVID-19 update at 2:30, and we will be providing details on that before today's show ends. All right, so that's the Pritzker portion of our local news segment. Now to the news in the city of Chicago. No public event scheduled for our Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Don't bait us.
Oh, we weren't baiting you, but anyway. She's had a few busy days here, so I'm assuming she's laying low today. But she did make an appearance on national television this morning. She was on MSNBC's Morning Joe. The mayor spoke on the unfortunate events that went down Sunday night, and she was also asked her opinion on who else? Senator, now vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris. And Ben, I know you disagree with the mayor on matters like TIFs, the Chicago Teachers Union, the police, the role of our state's attorney. Seriously, dude, why did you vote for her again?
Can I get back to you on that one, D? I'll get back to you, okay?
But unlike all of that, I think you're going to see eye to eye with Lori Lightfoot on her thoughts on Kamala Harris. We have the audio. Like to hear it? Here it goes. Shout out to MSNBC. Please don't sue us. Takes a cop to know a cop in 3, 2, 1.
Kamala Harris, to be Joe Biden's running mate. You know her. What's your gut about what she'll bring to the table?
Well, look, what I've heard and seen all over the country is a tremendous level of excitement. Not only is she exciting the South Asian community, the Indian community, the Black community, but women, I think, also an important demographic, and really shoring that up and giving people hope. You know, this has been a very, very difficult time for people all over the country, and we need something to rally around. And I think her addition to the ticket really gives people that thread of hope that we've all been looking for. The level of excitement and happiness. I'll just tell you, my 12-year-old daughter was beside herself with joy yesterday when she heard the news.
She's sipping the Kool-Aid as well. Ben, your thoughts?
Wow. Well, I'm with the 12-year-old daughter. Finally, somebody else who agrees with me. My first thought was a very cynical and jaded one. A word of warning to Kamala Harris. Look out. Lori may love you today, but look out for that bus tomorrow. Kim Fox like. No, that's just so cynical, D. I'm really sorry. Listen, we all got to get together. All the anti-Trumpers out there in the world, and this is the ticket. This is the alternative. This is the game that we got. I hope there's nobody out there seriously considering voting for Kanye West. By the way, I just saw this this funny bit where Kanye West lawyers are arguing that the judge should allow the Mickey Mouse signatures that were collected on the Kanye West to stand, because the other side, the Dems, can't prove that the person who signed it wasn't in fact Mickey Mouse. Anyway, that's what it's come down to. So we have no choice. And Kamala Harris, I actually like her. I realize that lefties don't trust her, don't like the stand she took back in the O's when it came to marijuana and the prosecution of marijuana. And I didn't like it either, but I have got to move on because this is, as I figure, this is the ultimate showdown. This is the ultimate political showdown, I have to say, in my lifetime. Donald Trump's presidency, I view it as an existential threat. I don't know where Joe Biden will take us. I don't have a lot of confidence that he's going to be the next FDR, but at this point, I don't care, D. And so, yes, Lori Lightfoot, you and I are on the same page for the moment when it comes to Kamala Harris.
But wait, there's more.
She's a lawyer's lawyer. I mean, we've seen that on display over and over again in various committee hearings, certainly during the impeachment process, and more recently in her questioning of Attorney General Barr. She is somebody who understands the importance of the rule of law, understands the importance of making sure that victims have a seat at the table and that they've got a real advocate in the prosecutor's office in civil courts. So I think she will be a beacon of hope for those of us who have been despairing about Trump just completely abandoning the rule of law and really trying to subvert the courts, the prosecutor's offices, to bend to his will. We need to make sure that the rule of law stands for something in this country, and Kamala Harris is absolutely the embodiment of that.
She's a lawyer's lawyer.
Yeah, a lawyer's lawyer. All right, that doesn't really excite me. Lawyer's lawyer.
That doesn't, huh?
Somewhere else. A lawyer's lawyer. Here, the interesting thing about Trump, I got at this earlier in the show. They're going to try to have it two different ways. So I know that they're going to bring up the issue of marijuana prosecutions back in the O's when Kamala Harris was the prosecutor in California. I know they're going to bring that up. And I also know they're going to try to present Donald Trump as this very compassionate leader when it comes to prisoners. Which is complete and utter joke, because what he's trying to do is stir up like a race war to frighten white voters into abandoning Joe Biden's campaign as somehow or other linking it to lawlessness and looting, etc. So on the one hand, he's going to be telling lefties, Kamala Harris was too tough on dope dealers back in the O's, or too tough on people smoking reefer back in the O's. And then on the other hand, they're going to be just pounding away at the lawlessness and the leftiness and the overall radicalness. I mean, they try to turn Lori Lightfoot into a radical mayor. Or they say, sometimes when they're not trying to do that, they go, well, she's controlled by the radical fringe. So I would just urge absolutely everybody to try to divorce themselves from what Donald Trump and the Republicans have to say about the Democratic ticket.
All right. I'm sending DelMarie Cobb an invite to Google Meet. And while we wait for DelMarie, we got one more clip to play. Let's hear from a feller named Jason Johnson.
What would you like to see her do and her propose as a mayor that would help you when it comes to issues like criminal justice and police brutality that you wrestle with in your city?
Well, look, I think first and foremost, she understands the importance of supporting mayors and supporting cities. I've had numerous conversations with her, and it's clear to me that she gets it. These are difficult issues, and it gives this conversation that we're having locally and nationally really gives us an opportunity to right past wrongs and move forward. But we've got to do it in a way where we find common ground and we're unified in our approach. And I think Kamala Harris understands that. Obviously, Joe Biden gets it. He spent a lot of time talking to mayors, not just me, but Keisha Lance Bottoms, and really mayors across the country, because he understands the importance of making sure that local voices have a seat at the table. It'll be a welcome change from what we've been experiencing the last 4 years.
I hope so. Donald Trump has used Chicago as a punching bag. City of Chicago is a symbol to Donald Trump to use to fire up his base. We all know what's going on. We absolutely know what's going on. And I do have sympathy for Lori Lightfoot when she has to stand up the next day after the looting that went down Monday morning. She has to come before the press and present the face of Chicago's leadership in the aftermath of that, in a city where everybody is like tense and on edge, and then you have Donald Trump stirring it up. So I do have sympathy for her in that front, D. I realize she's in a very precarious situation. No mayor, as I said yesterday or the day before, no mayor has confronted these kinds of challenges since you got to go back to Mayor Richard J. Daley in the 1960s, and I don't believe he did a very good job of dealing with it. Certainly Mayor Richard M. Daley didn't have to deal with stuff like this, and Rahm, of course. Let's not even talk about Rahm. The guy had it so easy, and he just made a mess out of everything. So I do have some sympathy for Lori Lightfoot. I have to say that, even if I don't agree with her on TIFs or CTU or funding police or a couple other things.
But that Kamala thing, man, you guys are eye to eye on that.
We're eye to eye. We're both drinking the Kamala Kool-Aid, and I'm very excited. I'm like Lori Lightfoot's daughter. I'm really excited. But come on, D, show some excitement for crying out loud, all right? Don't be so jaded and cynical. Put down the bong and be happy, okay?
Okay, I haven't smoked pot in like a month, but anyway.
By the way, congratulations on that, all right?
Thanks. Yay for our teachers. Yay for our teachers. All right, so that is the portion of Lori Lightfoot's interview with MSNBC Morning Joe, Ben's favorite program. They were talking about the news of the day, probably the news of the week. Kamala Harris has been selected as the vice presidential candidate for one Joseph Biden.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone, make sure the kids hear words.
I have two more clips of audio to play. They asked Lori about everything that went down on Sunday night and also her thoughts on Trump. We're going to play that a little later on. And I want to remind everybody, too, all next week we're going to be gone. All right. We're taking a little vacation. Ben's taking a little vacation, a much needed vacation. Ben's ready to kick back, relax, and smoke a doobie and drink that damn Kool-Aid. So we're going to be taking the week off, but do not worry. Live streamers, people who listen on YouTube, you can check out new interviews, new Ben Joravsky interviews all next week. You're going to have to download them at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites or wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Yes, while we're away, new interviews for you to play at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcasts. Ben, are you there?
Oh, I thought you were going to go to break and then call DelMarie.
No, I sent an invite out to DelMarie. So until then, anything you'd like to say about everything in the news of the day while we wait for DelMarie?
Well, you kind of caught me off guard there, T. We can take this part out of the
Well, we can go to the live stream chat as well. A lot of you have weighed in here.
I had a Michael Madigan thing, but go ahead. Go to the live stream and see what they have to say.
All right. Well, believe it or not, most of our live stream chat not that excited about Joe Biden's pick. But live stream chat, seriously, what were you expecting, guys? Were you expecting something? Obviously, he was going to pick Kamala Harris. A lot of people giving our Ben Joravsky show guest Sergio Mims a hard time. Triple J weighed in, said Sergio said Kamala had no chance. Don't take Sergio to the casino with you anytime you go.
Sergio, who did I know? Sergio, yeah. Let me defend Sergio, okay? He had that great line about John Cass, which really was good, about how John Cass wrote these columns for the Tribune. It was the theme of which each one is how much better Chicago would be if black people didn't live here. That was what Sergio Mims said. So, he got some things right. But yeah, he was so wrong. Oh my God, I can't remember. Every time he'd come on the show, he had a different candidate. Sergio, I'm giving you grief, but we still love you. We'll bring you back. But yeah, do not follow Sergio's advice when it comes to putting money down in Vegas. But didn't everybody else pretty much? You have to go back and look. We asked a lot of guests to make predictions. You ever notice? I just love this. When you ask a guest to make a prediction, they immediately start talking about who they want. I go, okay, that's not the question. Answer the question. So at least Sergio got the ground rules right, D. Okay. Remember, for a while he was saying it was going to be Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan. That was his big prediction. So
all right. Anyway. Let's see here. Well, Jeff is on the positive side of things. Thank you very much, Jeff, for reaching out here. He says Biden and Harris is the first step. Remove Donald Trump. Then progressives will have to get active in the Democratic Party. What do you have to think about that?
That's absolutely the case. And I've also, look, I like to tease Joe Biden, because I just like to tease politicians in general. But he has drifted left since the start of the election season. And he's far to the left of where Donald Trump is. Just think about what Donald Trump has just proposed in his executive order, which I haven't had a chance to talk about. His executive order would give a deferral on the payroll tax, which would have a terrible blow to Social Security and Medicare. So just that thought alone, it's like, what are you up to, Donald Trump? And this is why I say it's a very serious threat, existential threat that Donald Trump represents. All right, DelMarie Cobb, do we have her on our great Google Meet, D? DelMarie, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound loud and clear, and thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. DelMarie Cobb, a political strategist and former aide to Jesse Jackson in 1988 when he was running for president of the United States. So she knows a thing or two about trying to find support for a progressive candidate for president, and also a big supporter of promoting black women in politics. So DelMarie, what's your thoughts, just general thoughts about Kamala Harris being selected as vice president candidate?
Well, I had written a column last week talking about the importance of having a black woman selected for the vice presidential.
Hey, DelMarie, we talked about this earlier. I think your headphones may be giving us an echo effect. If at all possible, if you could unplug those.
No, I was just doing it through the computer. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll take you any way we can get you.
Should I turn the volume down on my computer?
Yeah, try and turn the volume down on your computer. See if that helps us out.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. We can hear you, DelMarie. Can you hear us?
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, now I do. Is it still getting feedback?
A little bit of feedback, but we'll take what we can get.
Okay.
Go ahead, DelMarie.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had written a column a week ago talking about the importance of selecting black women as vice presidential running mate for Joe Biden, because given the history of black women and the voting prowess of black women, which has been demonstrated since 2008, I thought it was important that at this time since Biden had made it clear that he certainly was considering a woman of color, and that he choose a Black woman. And so we're very happy that he has chosen a Black woman. And what I'm more happy about is that it was a long list of qualified Black women. Unlike when we were looking at potential Supreme Court nominees, it was a short list. And the definition of short list at that time was one Black person being on the list. This time, it was a long list. And that shows you how deep the bench is in the Black women's community.
All right, DelMarie, let's talk about the two impacts that Kamala Harris selection has on the campaign. One is symbolic and the other is pragmatic or practical. So let's deal with the symbolic one first, and then we'll get to the pragmatic. What's the symbolic importance of it?
Well, the symbolic importance is for little Black girls to see themselves in a position that is one heartbeat away from the White House. That is the most important symbolism, because whether there's a Black father in the house, there's a Black mother, a Black aunt, a Black grandmother. And so for little Black girls, this is very, very important, because it says that you can achieve the highest office by working hard. And you have gone through one more barrier. There are many barriers, and even though it's 2020, we're still seeing firsts in terms of Black people. We have not reached the point where we're not still experiencing firsts. So this is a very important symbol for little Black girls, first of all. Pragmatically, it's a way to acknowledge, as I said earlier, the fact that Black women are the most loyal base of the Democratic Party. Yet we have nothing to show for it in many ways. The issues that are typically talked about are pushed forward by white women. And that's something that I talk about all the time, is that African American women have to start creating their own narrative around the issues that are important to us. And I always give the example of when white women say that a woman makes 79 cents to every dollar a man makes. Well, women of color, specifically Black women, make 64 cents, Latinas make 63 cents. And so if we're starting at 79 cents, we're leaving out a whole group of women. And so why aren't we starting at 63 cents? And one of the things I often say during my speeches is that when Black women win, all women win.
Yeah, that is a refrain I remember very clearly. I don't know if maybe you wrote it for him. Jesse Jackson used to say that all the time in 1988. He would say, when Black people come out to vote, union people win. When Black people come out to vote, environmental people win. When Black people come out to vote, the women's rights movement wins and reproductive rights movement win. His point being that Black voters tend to vote Democratic, tend to vote for these issues that white people care about. And so it's really important for white people to care about the impact of all these issues on Black people as well. Sometimes it's not a two-way street, DelMarie Cobb.
Oftentimes it's not a two-way street. And that's why, we've had this conversation many times, Ben, where I've talked about the difference between white progressives and Black progressives. And the fact that I've talked about relational relationships and transactional relationships. And white people tend, when it comes to Black people, tend to have transactional relationships. So, you can't always count on their relationship because it comes and goes based on where Black people are, if they think Black people are doing what they think they should be doing, and the like. Whereas our relationships tend to be based on loyalty.
Explain that loyalty part one more time. I know you've said it before, but it's important to reiterate that.
Well, I mean, I guess it must be historic. I mean, we really value loyalty. And we have had so many things happen to us throughout our history. And because we can read the code, I mean, so much is, we talk about dog whistles now, and we talk about, code. Well, people have been talking in code and dog whistling in terms of Black people forever and ever and ever. And we know them all. Soon as a Black person hears it, I don't care what part of where you are in life, whatever your station is in life, you know the code words. And so what tends to happen is when we hear those code words, when we see the pattern, we immediately gravitate towards each other, even if we don't like each other. We immediately start encircling the wagons to make sure that we protect one another.
And that's where that loyalty comes through. Yeah, I see that loyalty extended even to politicians that are not Black. I don't want to get into a Bill Clinton conversation. I'm really irritated with Bill Clinton these days. Not Hillary. Okay, I know you're a big Hillary fan, but DelMarie, I could fill your ear with my irritation of Bill Clinton. But the amount of loyalty that was dumped on Bill Clinton in the 90s by Black voters was astounding. I remember that very clearly. And he's still, to a certain degree, surfing on that. So I get what you're saying about loyalty. I want to go back to something else that you mentioned, and the importance of Black women in close elections for the Democrats. We talked about this last year, or maybe it was a year and a half ago, in Alabama, where Doug Jones defeated Roy Moore, a big upset. I don't even know if Doug Jones can get reelected this time around, right. But overwhelming support from Black voters, particularly Black women. Is your sense of it that Kamala Harris can inspire that kind of turnout among Black women in this election cycle? Or do you think it's just a matter of people are going to come out just because Donald Trump is on the ballot and they want to vote against him?
Well, I certainly think people are determined to vote against the president who's in office right now. And so I think that's going to be motivation for a lot of Black people. But then again, there were a lot of Black people who didn't vote in 2016, even though 94% of Black women voted for Hillary Clinton. There were still Black people who weren't enthusiastic and didn't come out to vote at the same numbers they had voted in 2008 and 2012. And that's one of the reasons why she didn't win. So Joe Biden, what's important about his selection of Kamala Harris is that it says he's listening. It says, I hear you. And I also hear this moment of time that we're in, a time of racial justice, a time when we're calling for racial equity, a time when people are finally opening their eyes to the things that we've been saying for years. That have been ignored. And so for him to acknowledge that is major. And then to select a Black woman who can then go out on the campaign trail, however, virtually or physically, and articulate that to Black people, that you are heard and we are going to try to do something different. Because that's what it's going to take. We cannot have more of the same. We need to have something different. And one of the reasons Black people didn't come out in 2016 in the numbers they had is because so many of them felt my life isn't going to change no matter who's in office, because that's what they saw. They put all their hopes and aspirations into Barack Obama's administration, and they didn't see market change. And so then there became a feeling that if nothing happened when the Black man was in office, nothing is going to happen when the white woman is in office. And so we see that you can't think like that, because what will happen is a Donald Trump who really doesn't care anything about you.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that we have the enthusiasm in our community and the energy in our community to turn out the vote. This is really now about turning out the vote. It's also about making sure that we campaign in all 50 states. That's the other thing, is we cannot take any state for granted, no matter what the history, the voting history of that state.
All right, and to the point you just raised about turnout, one of the things I've already seen from Donald Trump's campaign, it's a two-prong attack. I mentioned this already, DelMarie. I may have mentioned to you in the car when we were talking. The first prong is to fire up his base by calling Kamala Harris a radical lefty, and basically trying to put her in the middle of a mob that's smashing windows. That's essentially what they're trying to do. On the other hand, they're putting out the notion that she is a centrist who sold out liberal Democrats or lefty Democrats, and you're going to hear a lot about her record as a prosecutor in California back in the O's in terms of prosecuting marijuana cases. So that second argument is sort of a nihilistic appeal to lefties and Democrats. Just don't bother. There's really no difference. She's not going to help you, so just don't turn out. And that, I think, is as important as rallying his base. Fire up his base by presenting her, depicting her as an extremist, and then sort of lulling the other side into alienation by presenting her as a sellout. Do you think that's an effective strategy for Trump?
I think it certainly will be their strategy. I don't know that it will necessarily be an effective strategy because he's done so much damage at this point that a lot of people just aren't going to fall for that. But the other thing that he will fall victim to is, and he's already started, and that is this whole thing that he does when it comes to women. And you've already heard him call her nasty. And I don't think there's anything nastier than calling a woman nasty. And he seems to do that to any woman who he doesn't like. And again, for Black women, that is just more incentive to turn out and vote, because if somebody calls you nasty, they may as well be calling you the B word and every other word that women just find completely offensive. And so I know for me, the more he says that, I'm going to be dragging 20 women to the polls if I have to.
The other concern I had, I think I may express this to you as well. Kamala Harris did not do that well, obviously, when she was running for office. And in particular, she did not do that well with Black voters who went for Joe Biden in those pivotal states after New Hampshire. Are you concerned about that at all?
Well, I think part of that, too, was we didn't know her. Even though she was Black, a lot of people didn't know her. And there was no one who came out and endorsed her, who affirmed her, like they did Barack. If you remember when Barack Obama first started running for president, the majority of the Black caucus was for Hillary because of relationships. If you remember, John Lewis was for Hillary. In fact, the day that John Lewis pulled his support from Hillary and gave it to Barack Obama, he cried. And when they asked him why was he crying, he said, because they're my friends. Mm-hmm. It was that kind of endorsement that, and Oprah Winfrey and people like that who came out for Barack, that got Black people to say, oh, well, if these people are endorsing him, even though I don't know him, maybe not only is this an opportunity to make history, but maybe he's the right person who will do the right thing by us.
And so that never happened for Kamala Harris.
Right, exactly.
All right. So let's shift to talk a little local politics. DelMarie Cobb is also an expert on local politics. And in the aftermath of the looting that went down in Chicago on Monday, what impact, DelMarie, do you think that's going to have on the presidential campaign?
Well, I hope people understand, I know that the city and the police and all, everybody seems to be saying that this was that the protesting, and it wasn't protesting. So first of all, that's a misnomer. It was looting. It was looting, plain and simple. That was the only thing they had in mind. That was the whole purpose of going to these stores. It wasn't to make a statement. And people are saying, protesters, people are saying, conflating it with the young man who was shot in Inglewood. I don't think that was the impetus. It was just too organized. It was too orchestrated to have been impromptu, to have been spontaneous. I think this was planned because they got away with it in May and early June. And so it was just waiting for the right time to do it again. And I firmly believe that they'll wait and do it again. Those of us who have been protesting and activists all our lives, my first protest was in high school when I sat in and got suspended for 10 days for sitting in because we wanted Black history in school, and we wanted a Black teacher to teach the Black history. That was my first protest. I have protested keeping Providence Hospital open when they were going to close it. I protested keeping the Rosenwald building from being demolished. I mean, I protested you can't imagine how many things I've protested. And I was in the protests most recently. So I can tell you, and I also advocated for protests Black Friday after Laquan McDonald. I wrote a column Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, calling for protesters to go downtown to Michigan Avenue to protest and stop the stores from doing business so that we could get rid of McCarthy. And we did get rid of McCarthy right after that. That's the way you strategically protest. What happened on North Michigan Avenue this weekend, what did that accomplish? And it muddled our argument. If your argument is to defund the police, how do you then make that case when the police, when you have lawlessness? How do you make that case? That doesn't help your case. The other thing that I did find offensive, however, was the white community talking about feeling unsafe, and the white aldermen talking about people feeling unsafe on the Gold Coast and then leaving. Well, Black people feel unsafe every day on the South and West side. And that is why they're leaving, and that's why they've left. 250,000 Black people have left the city of Chicago since 2000 for that very reason. And if the city would invest in the Black community instead of not disinvesting for 40 years, we wouldn't have people going downtown trying to take what other people have, because they would have reason to stay in their own communities and protect what they have. But when you don't have anything, you have nothing to lose.
I know what you're saying, DelMarie, and I got to tell you on a personal level, I'm not equating anything I went through to what what went down in Chicago, but I had a story already ready to go for the reader, a column about inequities in Chicago. And then I woke up to discover there had been looting, so I had to rewrite it. Oh, poor, pitiable me. It happens to us all. But the point is this. The reason I had to rewrite it in part was because I knew that my audience would be not receptive at all to an article pointing out or a column pointing out the inequities in the city and how unfair they are and the detrimental impact they have on people's lives. That in the aftermath of the looting, people were going to feel their inner Donald Trump, their inner Richard J. Daley, their inner George Wallace, and there would be a certain amount of hard-heartedness and backlash. I knew that. And so I kind of adjusted it to try to make the case that, you know, when you continue to perpetuate these kinds of inequalities, there are consequences to it. and we're seeing the consequences. But I got a feeling, DelMarie, on deaf ears at this moment. Do you share my sense of gloominess about that, or do you think I'm being too pessimistic?
No, I think you're being anticipatory. But I also want to ask the question, it's almost the same as racism. You know, I often, when I talk to young white people about inequities and things, I sort of look at the look on their faces while I'm talking to them. And the look is, they don't understand, you know, this doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you do so-and-so to help people? And I just say to them, you know what? I see you're trying to make sense of what I'm saying. Racism doesn't make sense. So you're not going to make sense of what I'm saying. Well, it's the same way with disinvestment, which is a form of racism. It doesn't make sense. You disinvest in these communities for 40 years, and you expect people to stay contained within their communities, never to spill out in your community. And I remember when I was a TV reporter and I would go to a white community and there had been a killing or something that took place. Very rare, always. And when I would interview the white residents, the first thing they would say is, nothing like this ever happens in our community. This is unbelievable. Oh, and I was always thinking, and of course as a reporter I have to be objective, but that doesn't mean my mind went on vacation while I was interviewing them. And I'm always thinking, so what did you think? That you have moved far enough? That you were white enough? That you were rich enough? That none of these things that happen to other people would ever touch you? So yes, it is spilling out to your community because you cannot keep it contained. It's been contained for 40 years.
DelMarie, you said something, I wrote it down, I scribbled it down. I wanted to just get a clarification or an amplification. We were talking about the people who did the looting. They got away with it in June. They figured they'd get away with it again. What did you mean by that?
Well, they overwhelmed the police. They came in such large numbers that they overwhelmed the police, and they were able to successfully go from commercial corridor to commercial corridor to commercial corridor all over the city and suburbs and loot and ransack these stores. And so in essence, they got away with it. And it was only a matter of time. I mean, the hope was that that was one and done. All of us hope that, because if you're a business owner, I don't care what kind of business you own. I've been a small business owner for 30 years. I've been struggling for 30 years. If you're a small business owner, people look at you and they think you have something, because most people don't understand how money works. And yes, I may have a little more than you, but I'm not rich and I'm struggling. And if you hurt me, if you destroy what I have, I'm going to be in the same shape as you. The idea that we have insurance and that's going to take care of it, insurance doesn't take care of your life savings. Your entire life savings is put into a business, and you think insurance is going to take care of it? And what, you're going to be back like new?
Yeah. And that leads me to the local fallout. I know you must have feelings about this. The press conference that took place in the aftermath, where Mayor Lightfoot raised the possibility that there had not been enough prosecution from the May, June unrest, and the reporter countering by saying, you know, could you be a little more specific? What do you mean by this? Clearly, he wanted her to spell it out, and she said, "I'm not going to. Don't bait me. I'm not going to go there. Don't bait me." So, do you think there was enough prosecution? To me, it seemed like Lori Lightfoot was throwing Kim Foxx under a bus. How did you read it?
Well, I mean, it's the same talking points that have been going on since Eddie Johnson and Rahm Emanuel. Those are the same talking points. The talking points didn't change. All you got are two different faces.
And what are those talking points?
It's everybody else's fault but ours. If Kim Foxx would do her job, we wouldn't have this problem. Well, if you have a murder clearance rate of 20%, that means 80% aren't being solved. And if you close them based on exceptional circumstances, they still aren't being solved. They're being closed. So what is the deterrent for crime if you can get away with murder?
Absolutely.
And as Kim Foxx said, I thought the most important statement she made was her office is the last responder, not the first responder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ganging up on Kim Foxx going on, and you're right. It's not the first time. She's an easy target in many ways because she is trying to bring a little quote unquote reform to our criminal justice system and not just lock people up.
And so you can frame her as soft on crime. That becomes the law and order versus soft on crime narrative. And but what I'm very happy about is that she stood up, that she held a news conference, that she didn't let it stand, that she didn't let it take on legs, that she said, you know, I'm going to push back because let's really address the problem at hand. The problem at hand is the fact that every study has said the reason for the violence is a lack of opportunity. You can't close 50 schools. You can't close 6 of 12 mental health care centers. Who needs more mental health care than Black people? The people on the north side, on the Gold Coast, they're now unsafe. They feel unsafe. Their security has been rattled. Chicago, as they know it, has changed. Imagine that every day of your life. Imagine not being able to sit on your porch. Imagine not being able to play outside your house. Imagine the grandfather who was having ice cream with his grandchildren in the kitchen and got killed. What do you think about the safety of those people and the trauma on their lives? And at 4 years old, you're seeing this in your community, and you're going to grow up to be a normal human being?
I'm with you, DelMarie. I'm with you 100%. You know that. All right, let's close with you giving an example. I cannot let you leave this show without giving an example. Talk about pleading to deaf ears. I could go on and on about the TIF program. I will refrain. Instead, I'll allow you just to talk about one huge capital project that the powers that be in our region have ignored for all these years, even though it might have worked to the benefit. It's hard to see it working to the benefit in the middle of a pandemic. DelMarie, it's hard to see anything working in the advantage from an economic development standpoint in the middle of a pandemic. But presumably this pandemic won't last forever. And so talk about the big economic development project for the South Side and the South suburbs that is being ignored for years.
Well, you know, the Tribune did an op-ed in June when it looked like the South Suburban Airport was gaining some steam. And in the Tribune's op-ed, one of the questions at the very end was, because they were saying that the South Suburban Airport was pie in the sky. And one of the things they asked at the very end is, where is your plan B? And I thought, how insulting is that? Because I beg to question, where is your plan A when it comes to Black people? Where's your plan A for the South Side and the West Side? You don't have one. We don't have a plan A for Black people, but you're going to ask Black people and the elected officials, the people who are on the South and West Side, who are elected officials, who are in the South suburbs and on the South Side, in the Chicago Southland, you're going to be paternalistic and say to them, I, in my ivory tower at the Tribune, know more about you than you do, and you represent the people on the South Side. Yes, the South Suburban Airport, that should be your plan A, because you don't have a plan A or B for the South Side other than the South Suburban Airport. And when you look at the Alliance Airport in Texas, that was built during the same period that we've been fighting for the South Suburban Airport. During the 30 years that we've been fighting, they have created over 60,000 jobs and generated an economic impact over $75 billion in that same period. And that airport was built by Ross Perot because he didn't have to ask anybody. He just did it out of his own pocket. So imagine what we've lost.
Yeah, Chicago has squandered one opportunity after another over the last 40 years. It's about as long as I've been in the city and watched it in real time. I actually believe, DelMarie, that the prevailing theory, that the strategy, I should say, that the planners followed, which outlaid in the 1970s when Richard J. Daley was the mayor, was to build out from the loop. In an ever-increasing circle that would eventually gentrify most of that area and force poor people out of it and bring middle-class, wealthier people to Chicago. To a certain degree, they were successful. And what happened on Tuesday was like a frightening moment for everybody who lives in that area and for the strategists who are following that strategy. And so I don't know what they're going to do now. Do you know what I'm saying? DelMarie, I don't know if they're going to alter their planning strategies, which I seriously doubt. It's not just the South Suburban Airport, which is such an obvious example. It's also extending the Red Line to the end of the city. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I often say, Ben. In fact, I always say, the biggest applause line that David Moore got at a news conference he held on the South Suburban Airport for the Southland, and he had all these elected officials who came to his ward in June to do a news conference around the South Suburban Airport in the Southland and stop pitting us against each other, the South suburbs, the city, the this, the that. We're the Southland, we're regional. The biggest applause line he got, and by the way, we got no media coverage, was imagine for a moment the Metro line where he was standing in Auburn Gresham, the extension of the Red Line to 130th Street, the extension of the Metro line from University Park to the South Suburban Airport site, which is only 5 miles. Imagine the South Suburban Airport, all 4 of those infrastructure projects being built at the same time on the South Side. Imagine.
And none of them are currently being built. All right, it's so gloomy, this conversation. Let's try to end it on an upbeat. Do you have any news about Ida's legacy that you want to share with people? Any upcoming events or anything that you want to share?
No, we don't have any upcoming events just yet. We're of course looking at how we had some, and of course, like everybody else, the pandemic changed everything that was on the calendar. So we're having to be creative, and we're going to certainly do something around the 100th anniversary of a woman's right to vote and the role that Black suffragists played in that, because the Black suffragists were very instrumental in a woman's right to vote, even though they were not getting the woman's right to vote at that time.
All right, very good. DelMarie, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Stay safe and sound. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, talk to you later.
That's great, DelMarie Cobb. And I didn't mean to get so gloomy there, but she was absolutely correct. The city has been following a certain pattern of disinvestment for as long as I can remember. And people don't really care. You know, they get hard-hearted. A lot of people do in the aftermath of what went down on Tuesday. But, you know, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again.
Say it.
You can't just criticize the people of the other race. Sometimes you have to look in the mirror yourself. So I know that when I woke up on Tuesday morning or Monday morning, a lot of white people everywhere were saying this, that, and the other thing to each other. But you know what? Why don't you take a look at the policies of the people that you've voted into office year after year after year, and maybe take a look in the mirror. All right, D, I'm going to get off my soapbox there. Well, my goodness. I look up on my screen, and who do I see? The distinctive, good-looking. Look, I thought it was a movie star, Monroe Anderson, kicking back in his chair, ready to talk politics. D, I didn't even know you were doing that. You're getting pretty good at that, Google Meet. Got to give you credit. Monroe, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
I just got off the phone with a conversation with DelMarie Cobb. I was a little gloomy because we went on a riff about how the city has been disinvesting in poor South Side neighborhoods for so long, and we're sort of seeing the consequence of it as we speak. So let's shift to a brighter, more optimistic story. And that is how Kamala Harris's presence on the ticket with Joe Biden will lead to a Democratic sweep in November. Is that how you see things?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, it was a brilliant move on Biden's behalf.
Now, why do you say that?
Because what it does is, first of all, the Democrats' greatest voting bloc, black women. Mm-hmm. And they will be very excited about this. But also white women, the suburban housewives, as Trump calls them, will also be very excited because there's a woman on the ticket and her name's not Hillary. Yeah, the thing with Hillary, because Hillary would have been about 100 times better a president than Trump has been. But the right spent $1 billion over 20 years demonizing her. And she didn't help it in some of her arrogance that kicked in the campaign. So, because I can remember when I voted for Hillary, there was this very well-coiffed white woman, maybe in her 40s, and she said she voted for Hillary, but she said it like very reluctantly. Like, well, she voted for her, but she wasn't excited about it or anything. I think Kamala, except for the extreme right and the extreme left, Kamala is going to stoke a lot of excitement. I mean, you see it already.
Well, all right. I'm going to ask you some of the same questions I asked DelMarie.
Okay.
And one of the things that struck me from the get-go is that it was a two-pronged attack that Trump has had on Kamala Harris. The first, obviously, is to paint her as a radical leftist, and the other is to paint her as a Wall Street sellout. It's an interesting little contrast. Obviously, one appeal is meant for lefties like myself to try to get us less enthusiastic about Kamala Harris and the ticket so that we may not vote. And the other is to fire up the base. So what's your thoughts on this tactic?
The problem with that is that Kamala is almost, not quite, but almost as middle of the road as Biden is. There's nothing particularly radical about her. at all. So he's going to try that. He's also said that she's phony, and of course she's nasty, because all women that oppose him are nasty, right? And it's only women, interestingly enough. So he has not quite figured out a nickname for her yet, and he's changed Joe's nickname from Sleepy Joe to Slow Joe.
Slow Joe, I missed that. I missed that change.
Right, exactly. I guess Joe woke up and said, "I better get off the move."
Is this official? I mean, is this a final, or does he reserve the right to go back to Sleepy if that?
He may go back to Sleepy. He does. The thing is, nothing is sticky. You know, he has a campaign that was tailor-made for Bernie, but it doesn't work on Joe. The nicknames, he's so radical. In fact, with Biden, what Trump is saying is that he's captive of the radicals.
Yes.
POC and Bernie and Pocahontas, he's back to that. You know, and his problem is that we have 1,000 Americans dying every day from the virus that he hasn't done anything with. And so name calling is not as cute as it used to be. They'd rather him deal with the virus than coming up with the same old tired names. He's not even creative about the nicknames. He uses the same ones.
And so what about the other aspect, that the left will get disillusioned and won't show up, much like what happened in 2016?
That's not going to happen. That won't happen this time, because again, Kamala is a much more endearing retail politician than Hillary was. And she, I mean, do you remember her when she launched her presidency?
Who, Kamala or Hillary?
Yeah, Kamala.
Yeah, I was. Go ahead, finish your thought.
20,000 people showed, more than for Obama, showed up when she launched her candidacy. Now, of course, the weather was much nicer in Oakland than it was in Springfield. That may have been a factor.
Yeah.
But anyway, she had a huge crowd.
Yeah, no, I began the show by reminiscing about how I was one of the few people that was openly enthusiastic about Kamala or in the early stages of the Democratic nomination, the debates, etc. Used to come in, I would sing her praise, and you were a little more cautious about praising her. You were an Elizabeth Warren fan, and that was your candidate, and I was really impressed, as I've said many times, but the way she went after Joe Biden, and where I was disappointed was in how incapable she was at defending her own record and even just expressing anything resembling like maybe remorse. This is somehow difficult for politicians, Monroe, and you know this because you've watched them for years and years, and you've tried to advise others.
Yeah, because part of the problem for them is that when they make those mistakes, that becomes ammunition for their opponents. And so they're reluctant to say, yep, I blew that one. Mm-hmm. I mean, which is, the thing is, Biden is at a point between his age and his polls where he can admit to mistakes. Yeah, if I had to I'd do it another way. I'm 10 points ahead of Trump. I'm 78 years old. So.
Oh yeah. Now look. Yeah, go ahead.
The 94 crime bill was a mistake, and he's apologized for it. He blew it, and all is forgiven.
Yeah. Well, it's not forgiven by all. It's forgiven. The hope is that the people who have forgiven him turn out and vote for him. And I want to point out, it was a very popular bill when it was passed.
Right.
Exactly.
We tell you now that was definitely unintentional consequences with that thing. Where, Biden almost single-handedly gave us gangster rap.
Yeah. I listen. I still have a hard time jumping on the Joe Biden bandwagon, but I've totally bought into your theory, which is, Joe, go to the basement and just let Donald Trump self-destruct.
Right.
Because, Monroe, every weekend, when I get an opportunity to follow Trump more closely during the weekend, just the way my life is, I have to admit, it's like a train wreck.
Right.
And I haven't even had a chance to go into the executive orders for this is how the week has gone, Monroe, because the looting in Chicago took over everything in our little political universe, and that's what we talked about. I was all set to talk about the executive orders. You follow what Donald Trump's maddening executive orders and how one could potentially destroy Social Security in our country.
Right.
And
Medicare. Yeah.
But so much has been overwhelmed.
And he intends to do that if he gets a second term. That's high on his list of things to do.
Explain that.
He has said more than once that he wants to reduce Medicare and Social Security, because that's what the right wants. Mm-hmm. And he's the man who 7 years ago contributed to Kamala Harris's campaign is now a far right winger. You know that he and Ivanka gave her money, right?
How much did they give her? I can't remember. They pretty much they gave Rahm Emanuel $50,000. Did they give her $50,000?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They contributed. I'm not sure.
Donald Trump used to be a Democrat. Donald Trump used to be pro-choice.
I know.
Donald Trump
has been everything.
Yeah. So he has created this political persona for himself, which he has peddled to the Republican Party.
Right.
They've bought it. He controls them now. He owns them now. I don't know if he believes the things he says. It doesn't matter if he believes them. He's saying them and he's trying to implement them. And that's why I keep.
Well, I think psychotic liars believe what they say for the moment. That's what makes them convincing liars, is they do believe it, but they believe it until they believe something else.
Well, this particular issue that we're talking about, it has to do with the payroll tax. And Donald Trump proposed, he had an executive order. Lord knows what it even means. He had an executive order that he issued from his country club on Saturday. It's so bizarre to think that this
with his members of his country club who paid $350,000 each to be a member as his audience, because he needs an audience. So. Mm-hmm. Well, they were booing the press and clapping for him in the background. There wasn't a lot of them, he likes thousands, and there was maybe a couple of dozen.
Yeah, and so he used this opportunity to, among other things, introduce or sign an executive order that would defer the payroll tax for at least a year. Nobody really knows if it's a legitimate, like the executive order will have a legitimate impact, like will actually companies free.
Congress controls the money.
Yeah. So we don't even know how legal it is. We don't know if the companies themselves will follow it because it's just deferring it. So it's going to have to be paid next year. So
and it's additional paperwork. It's more of a bookkeeping headache for them.
But the reality, it means the money is not going into the Social Security Trust Fund.
Right.
And so it does, as you say, Monroe, set up the possibility. This is an old trick. This is such an old trick. You deplete government of the money it needs to pay its basic expenses. Then you use the deficit as an argument to close government down. This is a Republican strategy that they followed for years.
Right.
Republican-like mayors in Chicago have also followed it.
Yeah, right. And they're doing it to the post office, the Postal Service.
Yes.
Because the Republicans want to privatize it.
Yeah. So I don't know. When Donald Trump does something like this, like Monroe, I look at and I say to myself, in what universe is this popular? In what universe is potentially destroying Social Security, a winning ticket for re-election? It's sort of like, I understand denouncing Obamacare because the people you're denouncing it to despise Obama.
Right.
Okay. They may enjoy the health care they get, but they despise Obama.
Yeah, but Obamacare is popular. Trump made Obamacare popular. It wasn't before he took office, but now it's
I think we may have lost our connection with Monroe Anderson there, D. We may drop the connection. He was in the middle of saying something about Obamacare.
Yeah, typically it kind of freezes and it comes back. But yeah, it looks like I'm just seeing a frozen picture there of Monroe. Looking good. He's looking good.
Yeah, he's got that nice smile on his face, looking very good. Oh, here he goes. Monroe, are you there?
Oh,
we lost you for a while.
We have something with him?
Yeah, but you're back. You're working. Finish your thoughts about Obamacare. We really have lost Monroe. I want to take a break. Here he is.
Yeah, and I thought you were bringing up Trump.
Oh, my God. Now you sound clear. This is perfect. Just do this, what you have here right now, Monroe. We've had some troubles all day. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts.
Okay. Pre-existing conditions. He's claiming that he's for them, for protecting them. But he has a lawsuit. His administration has a lawsuit in court that would kill it. So he's lying about it for political reasons, and he's trying to destroy it for crazy reasons. I don't know why he's trying to destroy it, except some of his very rich friends would rather not have it around.
Well, it gets to the same point I was making about Social Security. I do not see like a constituency for destroying what little health care we have. I don't see a constituency for destroying Social Security. If anything, it seems like it would play into the hands of Joe Biden.
This is why Joe Biden is going to win by a landslide, because Trump and the Republicans, his appeasers, are doing everything that makes no sense politically whatsoever. For example, the Republican Senate has gone home, not providing any money for millions. It's maybe 20 million. It's some incredible amount of Americans who have lost their jobs, who may be homeless, who are in food lines, food drive lines for miles. They wait up to 8 hours in their cars, burning up precious gas to get food so they can feed their families. And the Republicans are just going do 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 do. It's amazing. The Democrats had a bill, they call it the hero bill. But anyway, it's the hero bill. But they've had a bill to take care of everybody and they passed it 2 months ago. And it's been sitting on Moscow Mitch's desk. And finally, a couple of weeks ago, he and the Republicans deigned to take a look at it. And then they came up with something far less for the voters and the American people, because they're now suddenly concerned about the deficit. They weren't concerned about it when they were giving all the billionaires and corporations huge tax cuts. But now they're concerned about the future of the children again. And so theirs is far more stingy. And they took a love it or leave it attitude. All about Is that an airplane?
That's just the good old brown line going by.
Oh, the brown line. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you weren't being.
No, I will tell you this though. On Monday, on top of everything else, I thought the house was going to blow away in the windstorm. I was the brown line was nothing compared to the windstorm. All right, so Monroe, it's time for you to make one more of your fearless predictions. Is Monroe still there? I think he froze on us again. D. I was going to close with a prediction from Monroe. And,
he'll be coming back here. Hey, we want to remind everybody to send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com, BENNY. The letter J, show@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. You can also send us a voicemail, 708-658-4788. Our good friend Dragon Slayer 19 sent us a voicemail. Yeah, he was giving Ben a hard time about that Kamala Kool-Aid. Suddenly it came back into the Ben Joravsky household. Ben, take a little sip of that Kool-Aid, actually. Give us a little review on how it's tasting.
All right, hold on, let me see how it's going.
As the brown line goes by.
I love Kamala even more at this moment than I did yesterday. All right.
Boy.
It is true. I'm probably the only man in the city of Chicago really excited about Kamala Harris being on the ticket. And listen, I just want Trump out of office. I think we have lost Monroe, so we're going to close it down. D, got any updates before you head out the door?
Yeah, I do. Let's talk about what's going on here. J.B. Pritzker today gave his COVID-19 press briefing. I was pulling up Capitol Facts as you were talking with Monroe, so I'm going to pull it up right now. Oh, looks like this site. I think my internet's down. I think that's what's going on, honestly, because I can't pull up Capitol Facts. So, well, hey, listen, everybody, they all can't be zingers, all right? Live stream, chat room, and downloaders. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and close this one out, pal.
All right, very good. I want to thank DelMarie Cobb. I want to thank Monroe Anderson. We had a few technical difficulties today.
Yeah,
but,
did I pay my internet bill? I got to look around here.
I'll tell you something about the doctor. He works wonders with the editing when it's all said and done, and the podcast audience won't have a clue, or just maybe a mini clue. Anyway, thank you very much, DelMarie Cobb. Thank you very much, Monroe Anderson, and thank you very much to the Miracle Man, okay? The doctor, the pride and joy of all Illinois, who will really earn his pay today. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everyone.
She's a lawyer's lawyer. I mean, we've seen that on display over and over again in various committee hearings, certainly during the impeachment process, and more recently at her questioning of Attorney General Barr. She is somebody who understands the importance of the rule of law, understands the importance of making sure that victims have a seat at the table and that they've got a real advocate in the prosecutor's office.
Hey, Monroe's back. Sorry, we just assumed my internet went down because I went online to look at a website and that didn't come up. But hey, with the people with
you froze on me.
Yeah,
and I couldn't hear you guys at all.
We're calling it Wacky Wednesday, and here's why. Monroe, I think we were going to ask you for some predictions. So if you could give us some predictions real quick, and we'll go ahead and end her out.
Okay. What are the predictions?
Your predictions after, I guess, after we now know who the vice presidential candidate is. Your predictions here as to what's all going to play out.
It's we have a landslide coming up. It's first of all, Trump will continue to do crazy stuff. And he'll get worse about it. That's the only thing. Is we got some. He's going to try, and she's going to try to. They're trying to suppress the Q as much as it can, or as Putin can, to be exact. He's going to continue to ignore the virus like it's not happening.
Yeah,
and more people are going to die.
Ugh.
And what I'm now thinking is that come January and beyond, Biden is going to become the next FDR. He's going to come up with radical programs, which he's going to have to do to save the country, because we're on the cusp of collapse. If nothing is done radically, we will no longer be an empire.
All right, and one thing I'm seeing a lot of talk of is that, well, in your case, when Joe Biden wins, that he may step down and we'd have a President Kamala Harris. So if that were to happen, first off, what do you think about that?
He's not going to step down.
Not going to happen.
No. He's run for president twice. This was his third time.
You're right.
You don't seek a job and then you finally get it and you leave it. No. He probably will only do one term. But we'll see. He may even try and do the two. But he'll be 4 years, he'll be 82, and that's a little bit much. Yeah, to be taking on all that stress and responsibility.
No kidding. Well, all right. Well, there he is, Monroe Anderson. Anything else you'd like to say before we sign off here?
No, where's Ben?
We thought that our internet was just going down, and we just ended it early. So Ben's eating the sandwich.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, it's a tuna sandwich, I guess.
Avocado and cheese. He eats that every single day, literally every single day.
Oh God. Okay. No, that's it. I'll talk to you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right, Monroe. Take care, buddy.
All right. Okay. All right.
And there he was, Monroe Anderson. Yeah, it was a little wacky today, guys, but we thank everyone for tuning in, and be sure to catch us tomorrow, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time. We go live Tuesdays through Fridays, and you can download every single show. There's over 600 shows, all right, guys? Go check them out at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Take care. My name is Dennis for Ben Joravsky. See you tomorrow.